a franchise. And by the way, guys, if you want success in business, definitely get a franchise where you have the templates and you have the systems and so on. From there, I ended up getting on a number of different coaches, and I coached coaches, and then from there, I ended up getting a client where we ended up getting in Clayton Heights. We got 10 homes for over $5 million, and we tied them up all for $100. And we sold those homes using our marketing strategies. And by the way, that's why we all own a sales and marketing company, because the moment you understand the principles of marketing, there's nothing that can stop you from getting what it is that you want with the right amount of time. And I preface that with the right amount of time, because sometimes your marketing may not get the results you instantly want. So you have to go back to the drawing board, test and measure a bit more. So in over 8 weeks, we ended up selling all $5 million, and we made 20 grand. Boom. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. And that's when I had my first real taste of the sharks in real estate. And that individual decided that they wouldn't pay us the 20 grand. And I got a little upset because I did the work, right? So I went out and I tied up 5 properties, on my own, in my own company name. And I went out and we flipped those within 8 weeks as well. And we made $25,000.
Wonderful.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. Yes.
Very good. And then from there, I realized that marketing, as great as it was very limited in its ability to make a $20,000 payday in a matter of 6 weeks. Boom. Like, you got to be pretty darn amazing to do that in the marketing industry. By the way, I was doing that still using marketing. I was just decided to let go of all my clients, and I was going to focus on building a real estate portfolio. And so then after we did those 5, I went out and found another 5 properties and 6 properties, We did 6 properties, and we made $45,000 per door on those 6 properties. Now, each of these properties are triplexes. So they had 3 doors. And so there were little boxes of money that whoever bought them, they made about $1,000 to $2,000 per month. Right now, they're making a bit about that. And so it was pretty nice to make these real estate packages. So I'd create a real estate package, a version 1. I've got all the way up to version 20-something on some of them, just because little changes here and there. Okay. We never ever gave up when we had a project. We always kept to the project. That particular real estate project, we tied up. Now, I tied up under another person's company. This is where I learned the issue of trust. And I like watching Pawn Stars, because Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars, he goes, "It's not that I don't trust you, but I don't."
Yeah, that's funny. Yes, I've heard that. And
I mean, I want to trust everyone. I do wear my heart on my sleeve, and to this very day, I have to say that even though I had bad experiences, I still wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm still open, and I still am giving. And so I'd say that is, and I'm still alive. Which is really kind of cool. In that I ended up doing a real estate deal with a business associate, and the business associate decided that we would. Now, this person had way more experience than I had in business, and this is where I started making some mistakes. The first mistake I made is I didn't have legal shield. Or I didn't have a lawyer at my disposal to go and ask questions specifically about real estate, because I had the preconceived notion that lawyers don't want to help us. That is the biggest mistake I could have ever made. Lawyers' jobs are to educate you, to make sure that you understand exactly how you can make the money. The best client for a lawyer is one that already knows how to do this, of course. Yeah. But, so that was my first mistake. And I ended up trusting so the individual had the company. So we were doing very well, very successful. Individual had the company. I didn't go talk to my lawyer about the company. My first mistake. I didn't use my own lawyer. I used that gentleman's lawyer instead. That was my second mistake. In all the projects afterwards, I decided that I didn't want to be involved in the financing, and I didn't want to be involved in the communication with the lawyers. That was my third mistake.
Oh, so there's all these things now, how you should have played it differently, but now you know.
Well, yeah. Exactly. And so I have people that I teach now for real estate. That's part of what I do is I do teach. If somebody's interested, I do walk them through the step-by-step process of running a marketing company specifically for their own real estate. So buying and selling of their own real estate, getting investors, getting people, whatever it is. So I take all those lessons and I share those with other people now. But what I was really mystified, because coming from a banking environment, coming from a holistic environment, coming from an environment where what you say is what you do, I was really aghast when it took me 3 years to find out what happened.
That's a long time. Wow, it is a long time.
Well, it's called naivety for a reason.
Definitely. Wow, that's a long time.
So what we did is after those properties, we went and we sold another 2 properties. We sold another 2 properties after that, all of them being triplexes, by the way. So that's over 100 doors I did in my first year. And then after that, I wanted to do another real estate project. And so I wanted to buy apartment buildings. And so I'm doing really good. I'm doing the marketing. I'm doing what I love. I'm getting out there. I'm doing all the things. And because my family background is in real estate and managing real estate, I got pulled in the direction, because I promised myself, because I had managed properties in the past, apartment buildings and so on, many of them. I even worked for the Greater Vancouver Housing District, which is now called Metro Vancouver, I believe.
Okay.
And so I had tons of experience in managing people, managing apartments, understanding costs and all that other kind of stuff. And so my business associates decided that they would volunteer me to do all the management instead of having a property manager. Oh, that's my next mistake, everyone who's listening.
Okay.
You certainly don't want to be doing that, because what it is, it took me away from what I loved to do. So I was doing all the management of the property. I was doing all the management of the people. I was doing the hiring. I was doing the firing. I was finding the tenants. I was doing the tenancy agreements. And when you have over 50 people that you're doing that and you're not getting paid for it, that sucked, Sarah.
Yes. Well, you're doing a lot of things. You're spreading yourself very thin. I can tell you're doing at least 5 things. And it should be 5 people doing those 5 things, not one.
Ideally, but that's how come everyone loved working with me, is because guess what? They say guess where the buck stops?
Yes.
It stops with the most responsible person.
And that's happened to me a lot. I think I said that to you last week. I've been in that position a lot of doing things, and because you're okay with trying to manage a lot of things at once, and you put those extra hours in, and you believe that it's okay, I don't need to sleep tonight, I can get this thing done here and that thing done there. It really goes into deep sleep deprivation instead of being able to delegate it out. But you're right, I've been in positions like that before where the buck does stop with us, so it's quite refreshing when it changes.
Well, I didn't. It's true. There's a couple of issues that happened. First of all, I had to look inside myself throughout this. This was between 2009 and 2014 that this all transpired. And so I was taken out of the entire marketplace for a number of years. I was taken out of the marketplace because I was just running this business. And people would say, oh, we hear you have a great real estate group. What's happening with it? How come you haven't been around? And, it's because I was managing it, and I was not only managing that. I bought one apartment building, and again I was dealing with the shark, and the shark decided that they would, we made the shark in order to get a percentage of the ownership of the property, of profits. The shark was given the task of getting financing and dealing with the lawyers. Oh, geez, what a mistake that was. And I forgive myself for that now.
Good.
In hindsight. What you don't know really can hurt you. And this individual really knew so much more, and so ended up making all the joint ventures in his particular favor. A number of the properties, as a matter of fact, he put 3 of them in his own name. And it took me 3 years to find this out, because I just didn't know. I went and did what I was told to do. I wasn't being given the guidance that I give to the people that I work with. Does that make sense?
It's because of how you expected to be treated, how you were treating people, and you didn't get that back, did you? Yeah.
No. But I'm very careful now. I'm making sure that I do get that treatment back. And so, I mean, the first thing that I would say with sharks is trust your gut instinct. make sure that you do go to a lawyer, and if you can't afford a lawyer, find someone who can afford a lawyer. And now that you're listening to this, you can always call me up, because you're going to know who I am. I am going to be available for my entire life. I'll be available to anyone that asks questions. I am a resource, and that's what I really want to be with people. Is I want to be that resource. So I ended up buying 1 apartment building, 2 apartment buildings, and then I did a couple of development projects, and that's where all of this comes to fruition, where I was able to buy the house that I'm in. It was transferred to me, and I was able to get it without a down payment, which is really beautiful. And I won a 2010 Deal of the Year award for that. And the house covers itself, which is really it's a beautiful blessing, which allows me to have a life to love, to really appreciate it. It puts me, we still got to go out. We still have bills to pay and all this other kind of stuff. It doesn't go away. Of course, there's mortgages and all this other kind of jazz, but it's just one more of those things that, I put that and remember that seed earlier on at the bank. I wanted to own a house. Well, how lucky am I to live in the Lower Mainland and actually have a house with a couple of units that pay for the mortgage? It's a blessing.
It is, and it's everything that you set out to do. So that's why I find it just amazing that at the other side of everything that you've been through, you're actually sitting every day with something that you really wanted and you kind of geared towards. I think that's extremely motivating for people to hear who are listening, but also knowing that it didn't just show up overnight. You didn't just wake up the next day and go, oh, here it is. You had to put a lot of hours in, a lot of time, and learn a lot of lessons along the way of things that you may have done differently this time round.
Yep. Have you ever heard of the 10-year overnight success?
I like that phrase. I haven't, but I like it when you just,
Most overnight successes take approximately 10 years to achieve.
Yes, so. And I like how you put that like that. That is so true. Yeah, so true. I think I follow Gary Vaynerchuk online, and I know he said that he was quiet for 13 years. He said, I was quiet for 13 years. You didn't see me for 13 years, and then I came out and did what I wanted to do. And I guess he looks like an overnight success, but really once you put it like that, he's a 13-year overnight success.
That's correct.
He sat back and he just waited.
Yeah, that's precisely right. So, it looks like we could probably talk forever and ever, and I've got my notes here that I have even more, that we can go through.
I love it. We've got time. We're only at 42 minutes. We've got another 10 minutes I'm finding you extremely interesting. It's funny because if I listen to my previous shows based on this one, I'm talking a lot more in my other shows than I am in this one. I am so listening to what you have to say, and I think it's so informative, and you seem to have been able to go through lots of different things, and you seem to have a life that's been able to sculpt into many different areas at the same time. Like that juggling of the systems seems to have been something you've been able to do well throughout the years. And I know that, you're a family man as well. You live in a family home with your family, and, you've got, like you say, you've got your day job and your night job. I think that's very, very inspirational, because a lot of people think they can't get one thing done. They think all they can do is their family, all they can do is their day job. Oh, I better not do anything after hours that I love to do, because I've got to do this. Like, I think you're really showing people that you can do a lot of things, but it's about the balance and the love of doing them. Like, nobody wants to do things they don't like doing. So how do you balance everything, Odin? How are you managing to do that at this point?
Well, in my early days, I decided I was going to go check out all the secret societies that existed. And so I actually ended up becoming a Freemason. And one of the interesting lessons in the Freemasonry is the 8-8-8 philosophy, 24 hours in a day. What they did is in this particular education, what they said is, look, you have 8 hours to get your work done. You have 8 hours to do extracurricular activity that you think would make your life more fulfilled, and you have 8 hours for rest. And that's really how that 8-8-8. That's really how I manage it. Do I work long hours? Yes, I do. I work long hours from Monday to Friday. I put my hours in. I take Saturdays and I take Friday evenings. When dusk happens, I take that off, and I then will continue again on the Saturday if need be. And the Saturday evening is better. And then on the Sunday, if need be, I might, typically on Sundays, I don't do anything. I just shut the computer off and I run away. I try not to get any computer time. I want one day where I'm away from electronics because we're surrounded by it all the time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has really kept me going is Reiki. I call it the universal life energy. I meditate a lot. As a matter of fact, in what I mentioned, I talked to you about the shark. Well, the shark took a number of chunks out of me, and those are pretty nasty.